opportunity I always enjoy. And as professor has said, that ethnic values in the medicine. See, we cannot isolate globally a place, a community which live within ethnic values. It has always been all time in all places. Maybe America, Europe, the western part of the world advanced today, but if you look into your history, everyone's history is like that we have some ethnic values related to all customs that we have. In the course of time, of course, we changed, we developed, grew well, but very values which were with the community are still very, very important, and we are one example of that. I'm to begin with saying that you are a student and education, and first would like to define education. And education, in my opinion, is the one which makes you self-reliant. If you define as education, it does not mean it dissociates you from your village, from your values. So always believe that an education is a system. Education is something which should bring you closer to your values, closer to your self-reliance. That is an education meaning by. Unfortunately, I am from a part of the country, a part of the country, India, I am coming from. If you know the structure of India, India is distinctly urban and rural. When we say rural in India, that truly rural, you don't have good houses, you don't have many roads going into, no very good infrastructure, that's a truly rural. Unlike in America, when you call it a rural, you have everything, basic facilities, amenities present there in hospital, a community hospital. But unlike in India, the things are totally different. And so is the case of many parts of the South Asia and many parts of the world. Now, when I say in education, when we have been educating our youth in the villages, the education became dissociating. They never wanted to stay back in the village and they find a job in the town and the cities. And that was not good, because they have equal responsibility. Where you are born, in the soil where you are born, you have to have some responsibility for that. And unfortunately, when we have to redefine, in my opinion, an education must be the one which brings you close to the soil, which brings your responsibility for your people you are born with, around with, and also various social obligations we should have when we have an education. Now, second important thing is education, as I said, it was self-reliant, and it definitely dissociated us with many values. And an allopathic drug is a result of new educations. And what Professor is trying to speak to you today is a therapy system which were developed within the community, and that we say a plant-based cure systems. Now, this plant-based cure systems is nothing new for a community. It has always been all time in all communities. If we go back to the American history, if you go back to the European history, everywhere the health system, there was a local cure mechanism. And the local cure mechanism, there were three tools for that. One tool was the herbs. Second tool was many other ways of, many other techniques. Like in India, you must have been hearing yoga. Yoga is one way of curing many cardiac diseases, many muscular problems. So there has been, and it is not that in India it was only. If you go to Egypt, you go to China, in many places in the world and everywhere in the world, I strongly believe. Because, and there is a reason for that belief. The reason for that belief was, see, imagine when the civilization began. Do you think there was a doctor in in the village who used to cure and bring a aspirin tablets or another kind of a tablet? No, there was nothing like that. What was there in fact around? Any therapy system which is locally that came locally in a course of time is most reliable. Any therapy system which comes from a very large distance is never very reliable. And that is why ethnic values in the health systems are important even today. They are all time important. I am giving you some examples. In my place and my knowledge, my subject has been botany, environmental botany. I have been teaching, and the plants knowledge, plant values have always been very important to all of us. Now imagine a village is there. There is no hospital. There were division of labor within the village. There was a farmer, there was a mason, there was a carpenter, there was a blacksmith, and their community used to live in harmony. And the local resource dependence was there, and along with them there had been one man that was called herb. The fellow used to treat the community with the plants occurring around, and that was a wisdom which his forefather had earned and gave to him, and which remains alive all time even today. Now see, within that village it was totally sustainable. The sustainability, a word that we have been normally using in most of our plans, policies, projects, we have been using them. Now the village at that point of time was totally sustainable, because whichever human community needs were, there was a human resource available for them. And the human resource had a dependence for that particular need within the natural resources they were living with. There had been a forest, there had been a water, there has been air, soil to produce the food, there was a soil, there were forests to meet fuel and fodder needs. In India, like for example, we have fuel and fodder needs met out from the forests around us. And the community, since using them, they were equally responsible to maintain those resources, natural resources. Now what happened? And as I said, there was a responsibility of one of the man within that community structure, and that was called Vaidyas. In Himalayas, they are called Vaidyas. They are herbal doctor by wisdom. They became a doctor. They are locally respected very high, because anyone who fall in immediately goes to that man. The one knows which plant can cure what disease. And of course, he was highly respected, and even today I am saying, in spite of the fact that we are 21st century, there are people who does not have, they are doctor by wisdom. They are doctor by wisdom. When you go to them, and I am surprising them to tell you that even today, many a disease which are very chronic in nature, which the doctors, the allopathic system of therapy is definitely very dangerous. It is a kind of a system where you are cured for a particular disease you are infected with. But at the very time, this also causes other side effects which unfortunately the doctors do not tell you normally, because many reasons. Because you don't want to frighten you that you take aspirin, you may have an ulcer in your stomach. If you take too many painkillers, you will have a problem in the others, the kidney problems you may confront with. So in fact, this system of medicine, of course, we today rely, every one of us, just suddenly we fall in, we go to the doctor and he prescribes something. But here was a system within the community. You know why? Why this system did not have any side effect? Because I'm to tell you that a human system and in nature, they live together. There is in harmony. Whenever if I'm born in high Himalayas, that does mean that my metabolism, my structure has many things to do with the climate I am born with. And is the reason if you today are sent to the India, where there are temperatures of 45 degrees centigrade and above, naturally your digestion system, your many system will weaken. Here, always, there has been a relation between the climate, the physiology, the body metabolism, and the resources around. There has always been. I am telling you a very interesting example. We have come from an altitude which is about 3,000 meter altitude, and that means we go very close to the soil, the sun, and there is reports available, soil radiation hazard that one can because we are very susceptible for that. Now, within that community only, within that altitude only, we have a crop which the nature has bestowed with us, and that has a content called buckwheat is a crop which has a content, and the content is called rutin. And when you eat this buckwheat, you prevent solar radiation hazard. It is by wisdom. It is by nature. So there are two things one to be very clearly to be understood, that we cannot, our system of body, our physiology has many things to do where we took the birth. Many things to do. And therefore, there has always been a very close relationship between the diseases, in case if we have any, and the possibility of cure within the system, within the area, within the community, within the ecosystem you are born with. And that is the principle of this ethnic Ayurveda and the plants. Now, I am to give you some example. What has happened? Definitely, human race has been very fast in the development of its ecosystem, the things around, a good infrastructure, good roads, and so many things we have gathered. But at the very time, unfortunately, our basic wisdom we largely neglected and ignored. And that's one thing where we have committed a big mistake. And this mistake, we'll have to pay for that. And we are paying in some way or the other. Giving some example of that. You see, as I said, that we are born with a particular climate condition, with a particular ecosystem, and we have an association with the food crop that we have been growing. We have a relation with the forest around, the herbs around we are growing, which unfortunately we quit with the wake of coming the new allopathic system of cure. Now what happened, take an example of my place only. You see, we have the women in Himalaya who are the strong and, I mean, truly strong and, because of male folk in search of job, we do not have very local job opportunities. They migrate in town and city to earn the livelihood for the family. Here the women are left behind. Now what happened that whatever they are earning, they are sending that part of the money to their family to take care of. Here the women, the one who has been working from early morning till late, has been a mix of the, in a situation where she has a money, she can buy a spring, the problems that she faces, and at the very time she also has begun to lose the dependence within this system she has. And what result that came? You know, in India and elsewhere too, the most elite crops considered are wheat and paddy. You know the millets? You have heard name of the millets? Coarser grains. There are many coarser grains like foxtail, barnyard, the buckwheat, the finger millets. They are the local crops that we have. Now the one who's eating the local crops is said to be low social status fellow. If you are eating the paddy and the wheat, for your surprise, must be astonishing to know that the food also decides your class in many places, in many parts of the world. And where we grow the millets, those coarser grains, if you eat them, that means that you have a very low social status. And the one who is eating paddy means rice, and when you are eating something made of the wheat, is considered to be a little higher social class. And that was one mistake committed by the local women and the community as large. What they begin to eat, anything which is made of paddy, anything, because they wanted to maintain a social status within the community, and the result was, I am giving you. Osteoporosis began to grow in the community in the mountain of Himalaya. And they also begin to grow anemic. for two reasons. Earlier in their diet, there were two crops they used to eat locally. The one was the amaranthus, and another was the buckwheat, finger millet. These two crops were very important physiologically for them to eat, because there is a lot of hard work women have to do. Do you know, here in our place the women have to walk 5 kilometers to fetch 1 gallon of water. Can you believe there is a water scarcity? Can you believe that? Because she has a large number of cattle, and for them she has to fetch the fodder from the forest. Another 5-6 kilometers she has to walk to collect the fodder. I don't know whether you know or not, but it's a truth. And because she had been working hard, and at the very time the paddy and wheat became her food, she left the local millets where they had a real energy, rare calcium, amaranthus, lot of protein, to prevent her to become the anemic as well as osteoporosis. That's my problem. It began to come in the mountain because the food system changed, and because where she was born, the major ecological crops, I use the word ecological crops, were the one which only grow in that particular place, and that was to be matched with the input of any human living there. So that was one story which we believe that, and it's scientifically proven fact, that wherever you are born, you have a physiological match with the crop system around. And so was the case in the herbs. Ethnic, this system of value, here what, as I said, there is in every community, even today, if you go in the many parts of our country, in the south, north and everywhere, there is one guy who is called herbal doctor. He's doctor by wisdom. He has been treating his community by the herbs found around the village. And I'm telling you, this is what a wisdom which is coming thousands of years